This video is brought to you by my supporters on Patreon. Hi guys, so I'm here to talk to you about prints. This video is going to be all about prints, where to get them, how to start selling them, how to choose a photo for them, and just some general rules you should probably know because you might get in legal trouble if you don't. So first off, I'm going to probably start with one of the most important things you should know if you're going to be selling prints, because you don't want to end up with a lawsuit, and that is don't sell a photo that you didn't take yourself without permission. Even if you pay for a shoot, a photographer still has full rights to those photos unless you sign a waiver, both of you, saying otherwise. Most photographers are pretty cool with it. I've seen some that don't care or mind if the person sells a photo and doesn't want a cut or anything. They're just like, oh yeah, go ahead, sell it, you know, whatever, it's fine, cool, make prints. They're good. I've seen others that will ask for a flat rate fee, and then some that will ask for a percentage of the profit. It all depends, but you need to ask first. If you're like me and you take a lot of your own cosplay photos, or you own your own equipment and have a friend just take it for you, like what I do, you don't need permission. Now that we got that out of the way, we can move on to actually finding prints, how to sell them, etc, etc. So first I'll talk about where you can find prints. There are a lot of places online you can buy prints from. I used to use iPrint from home. They are kind of pricey unless you buy in bulk, just because there's a lot of shipping fees. I know Amazon has some, but they offer a slightly smaller size than I would like to sell, but they are significantly cheaper, and if you have Prime, then free shipping. The best place to look are at local family-owned shops or small businesses that do prints, because they typically have the best prices and you don't have to pay for shipping. If you don't have access to any of those, obviously online is your second best place to go. I've seen people use Vistaprint and other couple sites, I don't remember. One of them started with an M and I feel like it was Moo something. Just kind of look around until you find a website that works best for you and is in a budget that you like. Now, when it comes to pricing your own prints, you have to take into consideration how much you'll be spending to have the print shipped to you if you're getting it offline, as well as how much the print costs to make. You're also going to want to factor in the photographer's fee if there is one. Now, after you factor all that stuff, you're going to want to try to make some sort of small profit off of it. You're not going to make a whole lot off of each individual print. You're just going to make a couple of bucks, probably. You don't want to undervalue yourself either. You kind of want to semi-consider the cost of getting the photo taken, as well as the cosplay and the time that went into making it or in getting ready and the photo shoot time. And obviously they're not going to pay for the entire costume with one print, but it's just a point. If it's a really nice photo and a really nice cosplay, you don't want to put it super cheap, but you don't want any print super expensive either. Most people generally stick within $8 to $12 for a print. I've seen the most popular price being $10. This is for an 8 by 12 inch or whatever is similar to that size. The smaller prints usually are between, like, I've seen about 4 to 6. Those are the postcard size ones. So for sizing, there are a lot of different size options. Most cosplayers will offer 2 options, and that is the postcard size one, which is typically a 4 by 6 or anything close to that. And then the larger option, which is about the size prints that you see on my wall behind me, the larger ones, and those ones are an 8 by 12. You can also do an 8 by 10, 8 by 11, 8 by 11.5. It's usually 8 by something between 10 and 12. And people usually pick these 2 sizes because they're in different price ranges, as well as like drastically different sizes, and still shippable in a envelope about this big. This makes it convenient for both you and the person ordering because it keeps shipping costs down. If you want to sell larger prints, you're going to have to start buying tubes to ship them in, which will up your shipping costs because tubes are more expensive than buying one of these. But if you are interested, I've seen people do 11 by 16. All these sizes are fairly good to sell at conventions. A lot of people like to pick up just the little postcard size prints. 8 by 12, 8 by 11, whatever is just an easy go-to. and at conventions, it's more convenient to sell larger prints there rather than online if you're wanting to sell like the 11 by 16 or something, because then you don't have to worry about shipping it. Okay, so where do you sell your prints when you sell online? Well, there's a lot of different places. You can create your own website using a web hosting site, or if you just know how to make a website, you can sell them on shops like Store Envy or Etsy. Store Envy is a typically popular one, but there's a couple other that are similar to it. I don't remember the name. I personally sell my prints on Store Envy. I have also offered them on Etsy, but they sell better on Store Envy, so I stopped listing them on Etsy. When should you start selling prints? Well, that is really up to you. There's no good or bad time, in my opinion, to start selling prints. You shouldn't sell prints if all you have are cell phone quality photos. I know that sucks. Not everyone can afford nice quality photos, but if you're selling cell phone quality photos, they're not going to be very quality prints, no matter how good these iPhone cameras get. Don't sell photos that are blurry, oversaturated, over like super bright or washed out, or like too dark where you can't see anything. You want it to look good. You want it to be a photo that people are going to want to buy. So just make sure your photos are good quality and they're not going to turn out poor looking when they're turned into a print. Make sure the resolution is high as well, because again, too small of a resolution stretched out to like an 8 by 12 or something is going to turn out super grainy. You don't want any watermarks on your photos as well, but you want to watermark the photos that you put online so that there's a little bit more incentive for people to buy photos from you or prints from you directly, because then they don't have the watermark when they're printed out. Because there are scummy people out there who will print out your photos, and I've seen plenty of comments like this on plenty of cosplayers post about selling prints. They'll be like, well, I could just print it out at home. It's like, good for you. You can do that, but you're going to have a big ugly watermark on yours and no signature. So make sure you're watermarking your photos online, and the prints you are selling do not come with a watermark on them. Also, they get signed. It's good to sign your prints. Talking about signing real fast, it's good to sign your prints with a permanent marker and make sure it is fully dried before you package it. So now we're going to move on. You have an entire shoot that you did and a lot of quality photos. How do you pick one of them, or can you make a print of all of them? The way I personally do it, and it's different and it's up to you, and if you want to do it differently, there is no right or wrong way. I personally don't want to make a print of every photo I've ever taken, because that's just a bit overwhelming and a lot. That's a lot to have in a store and a lot to just manage. So I'll usually pick a max of 3. I usually try to stick around 1 or 2 though for each cosplay, not just from a shoot, from each cosplay. A good way to pick which print thing to make a print of would be picking one that got a lot of positive feedback. That is probably a good one to go with to make a print of, because a lot of people already like that photo. Another one is just whatever your favorite is. If you're still unsure after that, go ahead and ask friends or family, which photo do you like best? Which one would you buy a print of if you were to buy a print? You can also just hold a poll and ask your audience in general, hey, which one should I make a print? If you have quality photos, you picked your photo, is that enough to start up a store? What about a following? Well, an online store wouldn't hurt to have in general. You could set that up when you have $100 or something, and you can wait to set it up until you have 10,000. It really just depends on when you feel like setting up a print store, or when you start seeing a demand for prints. Or if you're going to a convention as like a guest or have booth at convention, that's a pretty good time to start selling prints as well. When I'm talking about selling online, you can literally start up your store at any point, because you do not need to have your prints pre-printed. A lot of people do that, and when your prints start selling more often and more consistently, that's probably a good thing to invest in. But for me personally, I wait till the end of each month, see which prints have been bought from my store or ordered. Then I place an order on the place where I get my prints made, have them shipped to me, and then sign them and then ship them all out. This way you're not pre-ordering a bunch of prints and then have them sitting around for who knows how long. Because this leads into the next point. The reality of selling prints is they're not going to sell a lot. Unless you have a huge following, you probably won't sell prints very often, if ever. It's things that people can see online. They usually don't buy prints. But that doesn't necessarily stop everyone. There is a lot of people that will still buy prints because they want to support the cosplayer, and that's something you should probably make note of when you're selling prints is, hey, this helps me make more cosplays. The other reality is you're not going to make a living off of selling prints. They really just help you make some spare cash. A good way to kind of organize your store a little bit and make it look less cluttered. A lot of people will only have their print stores open in cycles, basically, so they'll have them open for a certain amount of time and then close it down, cycle out a lot of the old prints, put up some new ones, and reopen it. Okay, so specifically for selling at conventions, how many prints should you take with you to a convention and how many different options? That one is a little tricky because for selling prints at a convention, you do have to pre-invest in them. And depending on the convention you're going to, you might not sell very many. If it's a smaller convention that you are at, you'll probably only sell a handful of prints, if you're lucky. I will just kind of stock up on photos every once in a while. I'll get some new prints made of more recent cosplays and add that to the prints I have already. These are my prints that I take to cons. See, it's not a huge bulk though. For each photo that I choose to sell at a convention, I'll get maybe 6 to 10 of the postcard size ones, and then I'll get 4 to 6 of the larger size prints. For conventions, I specifically tried to pick characters that I think are popular or relevant at the time in order to keep your prints safe during a convention, because you don't want to stack your entire stack out there and risk a lot of prints getting damaged and you not being able to sell it, or at least not sell it for full price. You should have either one example print out on the table and laid out, or have it in a binder. So shipping prints. Going to go a little bit more over the shipping details. So when you are picking what to ship your prints in, you want it to be sturdy. If you get a manila folder, slip in a piece of cardboard with it so that it doesn't get bent, and also stick on a do not bend label. You're going to want to send these as a parcel and not just as an envelope, because envelopes will tend to get more folded and crunched up. These cardboard white folders are what I prefer though. If you are shipping larger prints, like I said, you are going to want to get a tube and roll it up and stick it in that tube and mail it in the tube. To figure out your shipping cost, you are going to want to figure out the price of the envelope that you are going to have to ship it in, and then also calculate the shipping costs to the different areas. You can find that out by asking your local post office or whatever shipping service you plan to use, as they probably even have it online. It's usually all just one price across the country, at least in the US. So yeah, if you're seeing people asking you for prints, or if you feel like you got some good quality photos and you're ready to open that print store, go ahead and do it. I hope you guys found this video helpful and enjoyed it and have good luck in selling your prints. I hope you have a lovely day, and bye! And want to offer larger prints, you can do a 4x6 inch. That is not a large, what? Brain? I'm trying to think if I missed anything else. There's a bobby pin in my hair. What? When you wear wigs, this is what, they're just, when you have a lot of hair and you wear wigs, you're always going to keep finding bobby pins in your hair. What is it called? What is it called?